Hello. How's it going, everyone? Need to do a sound check for Rad over there.
Sound check.
Thank you. Can you guys hear Rad okay?
Oh, you're a bit quiet on my end. Let me just put you up a little bit.
Uh-oh.
There you go. That should be better.
Hello. Good morning.
Onions watching both streams so I can compare.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a rating out of 10 at the end.
Yeah, just give us a rating out of 10. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Onion. You're the best.
I'm happy with it. I'm happy with 11. You don't need to go too high.
Don't do anything ridiculous like, 1,000 out of 500 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
So welcome in, everyone. We have our six. Is this the sixth one? This is the sixth one. This is the sixth podcast. Wow, can't believe we've been doing this.
Past the first one.
I listen. I am anything but determined. Okay, we may not be at 10,000 bajillion views over on YouTube, but the 6 people that have liked the video, I appreciate you.
The quality that counts, absolutely.
Exactly. I appreciate you very much. But welcome on into the podcast. Me and Rad got together one month and said, hey, let's go. We're going to do a SkyCast. And we said this month we were going to invite someone over from the troop. And I've not heard. I'm a little concerned because they're not here yet. Yep. But we'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at that for that. But the podcast still goes on. We're still going to talk about what's going on as far as that goes. If you haven't already and you would like to, feel free to hit the subscribe and the follow buttons over on our Twitch chats. We record this live every month in the middle of the month. This month is a little bit later than usual just because we had to do it towards the end of the month instead of the middle of the month. So
half-term holidays in the UK, so we went away. So I wasn't here.
There you go. Brad had to go on vacation. But we do appreciate y'all for being here, watching, lurking, hanging out. Just as a general rule, if you're here watching it live on Twitch, me and Rad probably won't be reacting too much to chat. Feel free to put your input at the end of the podcast, usually at the last 10 minutes or so. We usually open it up to chat for any questions or anything like that. If you want to talk about any of the topics, maybe something interesting popped up or a question came to mind, and we usually try to answer it. So if you do want to pick our minds at the end, you can. So I do appreciate you for being here and hanging out. But this month is going to be the very, very, very first. This month we're going to get started with the third quest of the season. Rad. Can I ride that deer?
That was cool. I love that. I got to ride the deer. That was great.
Let's go.
I thought it was nice. Also, there seemed to be more cutscene and text starting to appear. And
yes,
you know me, I never understand what's going on in any of the things that don't have text. People are like, "Oh, that was just like a beautiful love story," and I was like, that looks like
just missed that.
So like I'm liking
it.
that there's some story in there. I thought that was really good.
I get it.
And yeah, I rescued. I don't know what happened. There was a manta. I still don't know what happened. There was a manta, and the boy was chasing after it, and then drowned.
You remember the merchant?
Saved him from drowning.
You remember the merchant that we did last time for last month's podcast? That same merchant came through, was hunting a manta because the princess has this directive essentially, and in that chase to the manta, he threw himself in the water, couldn't swim. Deer had to come rescue him.
I see.
And now,
scot-free.
After being rescued by the deer, he still went back to the palace at the end of that scene and is like, I'm gonna tell the king and the queen, I saw the deer. I saw them. And that was it. That was the third one.
The deer used one of its magic colored stripes.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. It was like nice little bit of story. think.
That definitely showed me that it's a really cool way to kind of like interpret like the story for Sky Kids anyways.
Do you know the story well, or
I don't. I have the summary from Wiki. That's pretty much what I did. When the season started, I was like, I've never heard of the 9-colored deer. What is this? And it was just one of those things that it was just kind of like, I didn't know much about it, so I did my research, and then now we're here.
No, well, I'd say I've got it that I'm not looking at the story until, and we'll react to it after the season ends.
After the season's done? Okay.
I also noticed, by the by, that great candle that was in the middle of the tunnel that was giving us like 3 candles a day seems to have been balked now and doesn't do the same.
That's a bummer.
Just gives us a little bit of light now.
It would have been a really nice kind of like one of those, hey, here's a secret you might not know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is a secret way to get loads of stuff. But yeah, I think the deer is like, it's all really nicely animated. Someone said you might be able to climb back on the deer, but I didn't.
You can relive the
memory.
Yeah. Okay. So when you relive the memory, you can ride back on the deer, which is very, very interesting. I'm hoping that they keep that mechanic in some way. Yeah. Supposedly the cape, that you purchase, you're supposed to be able to see the deer even after the season is over in some form or fashion. I'm not entirely sure. I heard mixed things about the cape. It's some people are upset by it and not worth it, and saying that they're not worth it. But I don't know much because I haven't played beyond this quest. Well, actually, I didn't even play this quest in beta, so everything that's coming up is a complete surprise to me as far as like story and season and stuff like that goes. So it's just one of those things that, I guess we'll find out. We got to wait and find out.
Oh, that'd be cool. It'd be like a horse that you carry around with you for fast travel.
I don't think that they're going to, I really don't think that that's, I mean, I would be really amazed if we got a backpack for several items. That'd be really cool. But as far as like doing it as a horse, I don't.
The other thing, because I wanted to do a race, the new races with the flagpoles, and I wanted to do a race, but we would be on the surfboards. Mm-hmm. But you can't carry the surfboard and the race at the same time, so you'd have to do a spell or someone else. It's like, it'd be great if we could, like you say, just carry a couple of things.
Yeah. I totally see. I totally understand for sure. Let's go ahead. I'm just taking Rad for a candle run. So if you go over to Rad stream, you're just watching me candle run with Rad. There's not much that we're going to show.
Around here.
Yeah. So the other thing that's happening right now, I guess currently, and Rad stream over here is got the Rad showing his Days of Love cape on right now. How are you feeling about the event? Because previous Days of Love, events were just appear, literally appear, and then a bunch of spirits dancing is all I remember. You could high five them on the way, and then you end up at like the Days of Love Arch, and that's what it was before. How do you feel about the event this year now that they've...
It's grown on me. The first day I kind of wasn't sure what I was doing. Because I wasn't quite clear where the tickets were, and I wasn't quite, as always, I wasn't quite sure what the spirits were doing in the middle there.
Okay.
But then someone said, there's a meteor shower, which is quite nice as well. And then obviously there's this, it's not really a story, is it? But there's this, the spirits in the middle are showing different aspects of love, different types of love. There seems to be like cousins and mother-son and, lovers and all the different things. So it's kind of like quite a nice little feature, I think, that they've added that. I thought that was quite fun in the end. And like you say, I ended up paying for this cape as well.
It's a really great cape. I need to buy it myself before the event's over, and I'm gonna forget.
I'll tell you what, I bought it, and my chat then subbed a load to pay for it on my behalf. So
that's exciting. I love that.
I'm just saying Joss's chat.
Oh, you're wink, wink. Hey, hit the subscribe button.
I I have bought very little in Sky, very little in Sky. And I bought the boat, I bought the first season pass, and then I bought this cape. I think that's all I've ever bought.
Okay. Okay.
So, but this is it's just so pretty. I don't know if I can zoom in on my stream a little bit, but I think the purple's really nice. The see-through works really well.
I think that they've got the transparency on their capes really, really well. And actually, if you light up Bobble here, you can actually see like where the transparency started. Bobble's wearing one of the Aurora capes that has, that has it right there. So it's just kind of like, it's really, really nice and interesting. Give me just a second. I'm going to switch scenes here real quick and let's see if I can get this working correctly.
Oh yeah, this is another one of them. The only comment I would have about the cape is we found it quite difficult to find clothes that matched. I went with the sword trousers because the yellow against the purple seemed to be some kind of complementary colors.
Yeah, and it goes well with the hat. I feel like at least that's the way that I see that. So give me just a moment here, Red. Look at that. Yeah, so if we're looking at like the beginning of the transparency in capes right there, you've got the clear through right there, and it's definitely different. Now they've like added the little detail. Did you notice that the little bottom things have like comments on there, and that's the reason that they call it the comment cape? Those small details there on the cape are supposed to represent comments falling.
Oh, I see.
I just pointed that out because I'm like, hey, zoom in on your cape real quick, because those little like streaks and stuff like that on there on the bottom are all supposed to be like comets, and that's why it's called the comet cape, because it's supposed to help you remember, the meteors, falling in Days of Love event. So there we go. It was great. I mean, I like it. I like the meteors. I realized pretty quickly that it was, it happens twice. So if you don't know and you still have a chance to check out Days of Love because it hasn't ended yet, the meteors fall at like a little after the top of the hour and a little after like the bottom of the hour.
6:36 or something. It's something close to that.
Something like that. Yep. It's very, very similar. So it's like twice. It is timed. So
because it's half an hour, I think there's a chance that you would tend to see it. Whereas, with some of the other things that happen once every 2 hours, you could legitimately play Sky and never see Geyser or know it happened for years, because you have to be there at the right time at the right hour. Yeah,
and that's the thing too, is like I typically don't do those events on stream. A lot of people are like, why aren't you going to, why aren't you going to Granny's, or why aren't you going to, stuff like that for wax? And I'm like, it's not part of my routine, it's not part of my candle run, so to speak. I run the first 3 and I get rid of my first 3 wedges, and that's it. Like that's what I do for my candle run. If I catch Granny's, it'll be because of pure accident.
I tend to do the daily news from those, so that's like where we sit and chill and talk about other things.
Okay.
But yeah, if you do Geyser then Granny then Turtle, that's an hour of sitting around. Yeah, that's an hour. Part. Yeah, and I think I just can't take it. Like my Sky Kid and me are very connected in that we just can't sit still. I have to be doing something. Even if I'm standing, I'm like rotating my Sky Kid. So that's where it's really cool. That's why it's really cool that they've added things like the hacky sack, they've added the race, what have you. So at some of those standing around events, you can have some fidget spinners to play with.
What's the next item that you're hoping for? In terms of like what accessory would you like to see happen?
But definitely more things to do. Like those little widgets, those little fidget spinners are fun. I think
I do love that it's become less of a passive game and more of a let's do something while we're here, even if we're sitting in a space together. Like this is you actively doing something similar to like the campfire spots. I hated it when they switched them out from the wax of just kind of popping up there to like putting the little balls of wax in there now. because you get to walk around the little campfire and light them up and go boom. It's just so fun to watch them. It's so fun to watch them go boom, and it's just kind of like, okay, cool, great.
Yeah. That's great. But like, if you're in a group with people doing music and stuff like that, just to be able to have a few things to play with while you're sitting there, I think it's like you say, other than just spinning around in circles, you could also just do this.
Yeah.
With some of these gadgets as well. Again, like you say, for that kind of thing, it would be nice to have a big pocket that could carry a few of them, rather than just to be able to have one with you, and so you've got to prepare that you're gonna.
TGC, give me a backpack when. Please, I need it right now because you've given me too many accessories and I want to carry them all. I want my camera at all times, just in case something happens.
It could even be a backpack of 3 or something. It doesn't need to be enormous, just enough to like.
I don't need to carry all my items. Give me a portable accessory closet. Yeah. That's what I want. Can you imagine?
Yeah, like a spell or something. It made me think of Star Trek, where they have the holodeck and like the computer bit can just appear right next to you and you can sort stuff out. That sounds perfect. I like it.
Just do the Now I'm thinking about it now, and now I'm just going to keep pushing for it over and over again. Give me a backpack with 3 items, or give me the closet in my pocket. A closet pocket.
Are we doing trials here? Is this podcast trials?
No. I'm just, this is my candle run route. I'm taking you through my candle run route.
Okay. Nice.
No, this is my route.
If
you're ever curious, this is what I do. This is my route for my candle run. Just so you know.
Did you have any perspectives on Days of Love and what you thought of it that we haven't covered?
Me personally, I like you seem to have covered it pretty well for me, and you really didn't miss anything. I love the asteroids. I love the meteors falling down. It really leaves a lot to interpretation. It's not just like pushing like the romantic love, so to speak, which is really great. That was something that I was kind of like really afraid of, especially with like when we talked about last month about like the more risque emotes that they're like introducing into the game. There's
a risk of that with Days of Love. Definitely.
Right. There's a risk of that for Days of Love. It is love in all of its forms, right? It does show like romantic love, but it also shows like familial love, right? Brother, sister, grandparents, different kinds of love, self-love, things like that as far as that goes. And I'm just kind of like, this is good. And it's while I am still seeing like those, shorts and TikToks and things like that are being made where it's just kind of like, oh my God, like my romance partner. And, you see edits of Sky Kids, kissing and things like that. And this is how you can do that kind of thing. Sky very much like took that stance of, hey, no, this is the different types of love that there are, because there's more than just that. And I was like very, very happy with that with like the event. Like it made me excited for the event. It made me excited. And I love, did you get a chance to catch the Hermit in the space over the weekend?
No, I didn't.
So Hermit and Postman were in the middle space, and Hermit would, first you got a hug from the Postman. After you got your hug from the Postman, Hermit like took your Sky Kid up and swung your Sky Kid up for like a swinging air hug, and it was just kind of like, whoa. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited, because that's just kind of like, it was that one I believe was representing like sibling love, I believe, or something like that. I want to say.
Right. Okay. Yeah, the sibling. Yeah.
At least that's the way that I interpreted it. I mean, I could be wrong, but it was just one of those. It's just one of those things, that you just don't. I didn't expect, right? And I didn't expect the Light Whisperer to be there either with the birds. Like that was a really pretty scene last week as well too. I haven't the faintest idea of who's there right now, but like having the spirits rotate out every 2 days.
Yeah, it was like a mother-daughter or something yesterday, or that. Well, we were trying to work out what we felt it was.
Right. Is it mother-daughter or is it like sisterly or something like that? I'd imagine that it would probably be.
There was a big height difference. That was the.
Okay. Okay.
But we don't know.
Don't know.
No,
Okay.
it was really. That being said, by the way, so we did get married underneath the arch yesterday, just in a little.
Rad. Marrying viewers since 2020.
Since 2021, definitely.
Since 2021. You want to get married, go over to Rad's channel during Days of Love, okay? He's offering services, just so you know.
Do you have the arch, by the way? It's 100 candles.
No.
I was trying to decide whether to buy it.
No.
Because it's like...
No. I told somebody, no, not worth it. Unless
like,
you're performing weddings.
Shared spaces, they always want us to do more shared spaces. No, absolutely.
Unless you're performing marriages.
Yeah, like, what do they call it? Like a wedding planner or whatever.
Yeah, unless you're a wedding planner in Sky, there's going to be a more need. There's an influx of wedding planners in Sky.
I'll sell that service.
Yeah, I just have to. You have to 5 subscriptions is what's going to cost you, and it's totally fine.
That's it. Stream.
I'll put on a whole show for you. Play some piano music. Have a dance party. It's fine.
I'll find someone for you to marry. What's the like that kind of role? You know.
No, I'll find someone. No.
Someone night. So yeah. So basically, I've done everything that Josh said we really shouldn't do. That's how it's gone.
Yeah.
But no, it's very wholesome, really. Just a little wholesome thing. We took some snaps. It's a nice thing, Days of Love, I think.
I want to do before the area kind of like closes for Days of Love, and maybe I'll do it like on tomorrow's stream. I want to do a fashion show with the arch, I guess, because I feel like right there at the pier would be really great, and just kind of like show off different Days of Love cosmetics would be really, really cool. Because there's a lot of them, and that's one of the other things that, you know, I kind of want to bring up as well, since we're talking about Days of Love, is that, you know, we had, you know, the season start. We had Days of Fortune, we had Days of Love, and it has been feeling, well, at least not to me, it doesn't really matter to me. But for a lot of players that are, you know, like free to play and, you know, things like that, has been feeling like maybe there's one too many, you know, IAPs. And I know that me and you as streamers have like a different perspective on like IAPs, and we're also like adults with adult money. So, I mean, yeah, we definitely can take that perspective, but how are you feeling about the cosmetics? Does it seem like overwhelming to you? Like the amount that there are, like having to make decisions, for example, like, you know, hey, should I get that arch? It's 100 candles, or, you know, things like that.
I always find this really difficult to answer because I didn't start the game on the very first day that it was existed in 2018. I've never been in a position to collect them all anyway. So it was probably quite early on in my Sky career that was like, okay, we just get the things that we want here and we leave the other stuff behind. But I know that that isn't everybody's view, and I feel like things have IAPs appear and they just like, they really, really want them, and there's a lot of really pretty stuff in game that they want. So I kind of feel like, you know, TGC have to be careful. I think sometimes it's not just so much the IGC and the IAP. I just feel like it's not so much just how much there are of them, but the kind of the pricing starts to concern people as well. Like you say, you know, I could buy the arch for 100 candles, but that doesn't mean, that probably means I won't be able to get the thing at the end of the season that's going to cost 200 or whatever. So it just like, that starts to be expensive. And then when you start to translate that into real money, and it's like this cape was $20, was it? Something like that, you know.
It was 17.
I decided if I wanted like the next one and the next one, suddenly it's like quite a lot of real money that adds up. And I think that's concern. And in some countries, some of these prices are ludicrous, you know, compared to what you would get for a day's pay.
Are you for like regional? I know that there's been a call for kind of like regionalized prices, and I know a lot of like places and apps and things like that and games that offer like regionalized prices as opposed to like let's base everything off of the US, if that makes sense.
There's no right answer. it's so difficult because, as I say, then you start to create this thing where you can buy in other countries and then gift it to someone, and then you can make a profit out of it. So it's kind of like, I think it creates all kind of
It's a really good point.
issues. So I don't think there's a right answer. I think in general, if stuff was a bit cheaper, then it would sell more.
It wouldn't. I feel like it wouldn't matter as much. Like if they went back to like $5.99 capes and $10.90 or $9.99 is the most expensive thing. But I definitely get that perspective too. But that is a really good point. Is like, yeah, there is the potential there for a company to be able to lose out on money, because who's to say someone from a country that would have cheaper prices is like, well, you pay me this and I will get it for you, and then be able to make $2-3 profit for themselves.
Can you even do it with a VPN or something? So I don't know what opportunities that opens up for people to. I think this is always the issue. But 17 whatever it was dollars, it's kind of like you can buy a good game for that amount of money that doesn't have IAPs. It is quite expensive. So I've always taken the view that I'm never going to get everything. I'll buy things if I like them. But as you say, we are in a privileged position. Chat might give us things. TGC might give us things as part of this group.
And so I completely get that part of it. Like for me, I'm like, it's hard for me to see that perspective, but I can also understand it where it's just kind of like, well, if I did have less money and if I wasn't, streaming and if I wasn't doing all these things, and, I definitely probably wouldn't be buying things, or maybe I would. I don't know. It's hard to tell because for me, as a content creator, if you were to be like, hey, what do you feel about this? And don't you think it's unfair? I'm like, it's a game. It's a free to play game. And this is how they make their currency. And at the end of the day, I understand that a company is a company, right? They have to be profitable. Otherwise, goodbye, Sky, if that makes sense.
And they've tried not to exploit. And obviously only TGC themselves know, because there will be Oilers that buy everything. Mm-hmm. And they're using their mum's credit card, or they're kind of making themselves go without food. That
throws me. Okay, that 100% throws me every single time. I'm like, you can play the game, or you can just buy out the season at the beginning of the season and just be like, well, any extra candles are gonna be fodder for it. But we don't know, and so it's just kind of like,
if there's one person that does that, or if there's 1,000 people that do
right. I've only heard of like, I think I can count on my hand the number of people that have like stumbled upon like in game that 2 days into the season they've already got the ultimates already, and I'm like, what did you do? And then they come back and they're like, I spent $250, and I'm just kind of like, no, thank you.
It depends where you are in life and in your own life. So I have one that comes to my chat and shows us on the first day of every season what the ultimate's going to look like, which has kind of become a bit of a meme. But they say, I'm in a good job in IT industry.
There you go.
Also,
see?
I don't
spend responsibly. Spend responsibly.
Drinking after work every day, etc., etc. I'd prefer to spend my $200 bucks on this instead of spending it on alcohol, which is equally just goes to waste in the same way. So
I understand. I get that.
So I get that perspective, but I also think there's plenty of people who can't afford it.
I get. I think the one thing that like would bother me about that, and that maybe that I think about often is like if somebody comes across and is like, I call them out. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Like, why? And I say that from a place of like, I don't see myself doing that. And I also say that from a place of like, you must be better off, but there is a part of me in the back of my mind that's like, man, I wish I could do that, because that'd be great, not having to be like, let me log in every day, especially since like for streaming schedule, like it's been difficult with the schedule change that I had recently for streaming, I'm only streaming Sky like 2-3 days out of the week, which means that for sure I'm getting dailies 2-3 days out of the week. The other, 4 or 5 days out of the week, I need to actively remember, let me log into the game and do the thing. And
so this is a question then. So but where is the balance? Because to a certain extent, you could just like buy everything at the start of each season, play the game 1 day per year, and you would get nothing from it by doing that. So it's kind of like, and this has always been the issue with the sort of pay to win aspect for me, is like, obviously you can buy it, and the benefit of buying all the stuff is that you don't have to play the game at all. So for me, there's that kind of question about where is the balance? Would it be nice to just like, a bit like with the season pass that allows you to get a little bit more, would it be nice to buy something that allows you to like play 3 days a week instead of 5 or whatever?
I heard a story this past week that someone newer to the game didn't realize, hey, when you're done with dailies, you have to go turn them in to get your candles, right? And the idea came up of it would be so cool if we could like, hey, we did the dailies for that day, but I forgot, right? If you could keep a certain number of dailies like in your back pocket almost. Yeah. So when you do remember to go redeem them, redeem them. You know what I mean? Because it'd be so much easier to like log in, do dailies, and I forgot to turn them in that day. Then I can still get my candles even though I did them, and not have to turn them in at all. I don't know. The system's been told to me the whole entire time. Like I've gotten used to it, but a lot of games they will give you the currency, if you do the task, if that makes sense. This is one of the games that I'm like, you have to turn in the task after you did the thing, but you know what I mean? It's just
okay. So I got 2 things to say. Okay, so no, I did see that story, and it was like I kind of felt for them a bit, but then I remember my first season. I remember how many things I bought the season pass in the first season, and I didn't collect everything in the first season partly because I was too busy exploring the game. And like when you first play this game, I didn't find it a grind at all because there was new areas all the time, and there were new quests that I hadn't done, and all these other things. And I got to the end of the season and I bought these sword trousers, but I didn't buy a lot of the other things, which I probably should have done. And I go back to that. So I kind of like, I feel for them a bit, but I also feel like, maybe it's kind of a rite of passage that in your first season, you don't get everything. You're too busy enjoying the game. You don't know if you're going to stick with it anyway. So, maybe, I don't know. That's how I felt. The other thing I was going to say.
I'm going to respond to that real quick. I bought all of everything from my first season of Season of Abyss. Really? So I cannot relate. And I can't relate because it's because of, again, going back to that privilege. I'm like, I was streaming the whole game. Like I started playing Sky on stream. So it was very much like I had, instead of people in game being like, here, this is what you do, I had people like coming up in chat being like, well, don't forget, you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do, X, Y, Z. And but I get it. Okay, second point though.
I didn't understand loads of stuff. I didn't understand like bits about Eden, about definitely the wing buffs and all that. It was like 6 or 8 weeks into the game before I understood that I should be trying to unlock those. So stuff like that. Second point. Okay, just with this. Okay. Is there a chance that TGC are getting it right? In the sense that this is a game that is clearly making money when a lot of the rest of the industry isn't. They've got loads of staff, and like sometimes I feel like we could make a suggestion, you can do it like this, you can do it like this, but it's like, is there a risk to them of making some of these changes and it like not working out so well
and not making money kind of thing? I feel like they have teams and teams, and I feel like I see loads of positions for a company like TGC. Like they're always hiring all the time.
You go to Eden,
right?
Compared to what they can hardly fit their names on the screen these days.
Right. Yep. And you're right. And it's
There's
because of
over
the credits of the
100
game as far as like that. Like all those people had to get hired, and they're always like new seasons and new concepts and things like that. They got to pay artists. They got to pay like graphic designers. They got to pay, the community managers. They have to pay, all these other people and stuff like that. And I'm like, for them to be able to see like the success that they're seeing, and then, a cosmetic cost maybe like $1 or $2 more than it used to. Yeah, I definitely see it. For sure. If it's to the improvement of the game, it goes back to that last thing that I always tell myself whenever I'm buying something in game. Well, it's a small development company, and I'm going to go buy it. It's a small dev company that doesn't make millions because, everyone wants to buy their game. Like Sky is still, even though it's won awards and it's been here for 5 years, like it had to work through those 5 years in order for it to be successful, whereas a lot of games in the industry, boom, release date, big advertisements, they make all their money up front, and I don't know.
So I don't know. Like, are the IAP prices right? I mean, how would you price IAPs? Right up to the point that it's the most you thought people could afford for them without it falling off, and it's kind of like, so is that what it is?
Personally, business move wise, I 100% would be like, and maybe TGC is doing this, I don't know. I don't ask these kinds of questions when I'm in meetings with TGC. I mean, we should, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to give us an answer, because it seems kind of like proprietary like info that we really shouldn't have access to. But I definitely feel like in terms of prices and the way that they do prices and things like that, they're doing it to be profitable. Right now, as a company, whether or not you should just be like raising the prices and then not saying anything, that's somewhere where like, yes, I can probably be like, advise, hey, maybe if you let us know up front, hey, we're going to be raising prices and this is where the money is going towards. That's just more saying about like company accountability and having integrity, right? Like if you admit to, if a company is coming right up and being like, I'm doing this for the profit, right? And it's at the end of the day, free to play game. I've got to pay employees. I got to do this. I got to do that, right? In order to continue the game. Then here you go. You've given me a reason to be able to like give you the extra $2-3, right? But I think it would be wonderful as well too to be able to make a plan, or if they made a plan that was like, okay, we're going to make a certain amount of profit and we're going to do a certain number of things, and then we'll go ahead and do things like that won't affect us as much with or affect the bottom line as much, like regionalized prices, things like that, because you're right. The point you made earlier, regionalized prices would, in terms of a business, and I'm thinking of it like if I was running this business, it would affect my bottom line. It would affect my bottom line because I'm a US based company that, if I'm making less money because it's a regionalized price, it would affect it. And there is the chance that people could, take that to their advantage, and do that and be able to be like, all right. And that's when you get like scams and things like that happening as well too. So for the moment, I'm okay with it. Do I wish that there was more, accountability in terms of like, TGC being like, yes, these are the prices. I like that they give it to us in patch notes before the events and things like that, so that I can, have a couple of weeks to prepare. But
just safe.
I wish that it would just be one of those things where it's just kind of like, hey, let me be more upfront. And I think that's where the frustration comes from. I don't, that's where I'm at as far as that goes. And I know that you can't teleport over. Yeah. No.
No, I think that's the case. And, but I don't know if there's some things that they could do. I definitely get that feel in game, and I think Missy's kind of picking up on this as well, though. Like, I don't get another game where, when I want to buy something, I feel like I'm saying thank you for the game. In the way that when you buy a skin in Fortnite or Minecraft, you don't really.
It's different. And I get that because I also play like Genshin Impact, and when I'm doing Genshin Impact, it's because I'm feeding an addiction, and they've purposely put that in there in order to make a profit, right? But they won't ever tell you that. They are just going to be like, all right, here's the gamba for it, you know, and you're going to spend this $30 and you're either going to get it or not. Sky is different. You're like, no, I am going to get this cosmetic if I pay this certain amount of money, you know, and this is what I paid it for. And I'm going to feel okay about it because it's going towards a development company that is, you know, small as far as that goes.
No, absolutely. And obviously, as I say, Missy's also mentioning that there's the charity times that they have as well.
Right. That you're right. Some of this stuff they have the charity stuff. It's actually coming around the corner here, where like in between spring and summer, they always do the event where they do the days of nature. Typically, those ones will go to charity things, and I think that they might have ran an extra event for Days of Color as well too. Last year they did 2 of those. Yeah. Where proceeds go to those places to
I think in terms of like whatever you call it, corporate social responsibility, they're kind of not that bad.
You're right. You're right.
It's very hard to say they're good because we don't know what's really going on, and we don't want to shill them just because we're in the Sky Troop. But I feel like, you know, and they have talked to us about not wanting the pricing to be exploitative and not to have users that are spending their entire salary on everything in the game. But
and I get it, and I completely get it. But you know, for me, my argument to the people that are like, everything is too expensive and there's too many items, you know, I feel like they're giving you an opportunity to be able to be responsible in budget, right? Because you know your finances, right? And if you're, you know, younger and you're swiping mom and dad's card, should you really be doing that? Should you really? You know, like you're gonna get in trouble when mom, you know, gets the credit card statement and looks and it's like, what the heck is all these small charges? But I guess that's more of a bigger discussion in terms of like where games are going and what kind of potential, you know, Sky doesn't do it on purpose. You know what I mean? And I feel like maybe they're increasing prices so that way there's a less microtransactions and, you know, they don't run into that issue, you know, like Fortnite, where you have a kid that had access to that and spent hundreds and thousands of dollars, you know, trying to for their birthday or something like that, trying to just get in-game stuff. And it's just kind of like, I get it. I understand. I see both points. And I guess to wrap up the discussion, you know, I don't think that there's too many items, but also I think Sky does it well in that, you know, hey, yes, this year I might have not got it, but there is a high chance, except for a select few items, there is a high chance that I can get the item next year, if that makes sense. There we go. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think, I say, you got to start to have the mindset of, I don't need to get everything. I'll get what I like. And you also have to remember that you can get really excited for a cape or an item, and in a couple of weeks, it's like, you're not that bothered. And there's a lot of people in my chat that say, oh, I bought this. I was really excited and I wore it a few times. And now, because there's the next item. And you've just got to have those kind of things in mind. But whether that only comes like for certain people or with a certain maturity, I'm not sure. But
yeah, it's a hard thing to kind of like learn. It's a hard lesson to, you know, it's difficult to kind of get that and wrap your mind around like, hey, you know, I want to buy this and I'm gonna do it, and it always feels the same at the end of the day, right? You'll wear the cosmetic and then a couple weeks later, it's just one of those things that it's just kind of like you'll remember it eventually.
And that, but for me, that supports buying one like I have done occasionally and wearing it a lot rather than just keep being excited by it.
Oh.
Do we want to go on to talk about Days of Dragons?
Yes. How was Days of Fortune for you, Rad? I know we were talking about Days of Love because it was, you know, we were getting into that conversation as far as that goes, but did you like Days of Fortune this year? Like they changed completely.
They did a great job with it.
Okay.
And this is a good example of where we're talking about TGC could leave everything the same because they're making money. or they could take risks and maybe it doesn't work out. And this was definitely, from my perspective, a risk, because this was a much loved event.
A lot of people loved it at home. They could have added it in aviary and stuff like that. I feel that.
And the music is a banger, so
yeah.
They always had that
mood.
But no, I think that worked really well. And the dragon that we could clip onto that allowed people to be
that
to
was
essentially be your friend.
Brilliant.
Your friend.
that was brilliant.
We took them to Eden, and we took them to Trials, and we took them all over the map. That was like really, and to a certain extent, I feel like that's why maybe Days of Love, at least on the first day, felt a little bit more muted, because I was like, where's my thing that I can take all over the game? Why aren't we all in a heart or whatever?
So much.
So I thought that was great.
I love, because it spoke to the values of the game, right? They want to increase community and connection, and what better way to do that than to make complete friends with random strangers without having to exchange anything, right? What kind of a experience did you have, right? Doing that, connecting with randoms, and flying with people that you didn't know or exchange anything with. You were able to, you were able to connect in a way that you haven't really been able to connect before. I guess to look for like a deeper meaning to it, for me, I liked it because there was no exchange, right? Normally you decide whether or not you want to be friends or not, but a lot of the times you had that random stranger just kind of be like, nope, I'm attaching, let's go. And there was no exchange, right? You were flying the dragon, or you were being a part of a dragon, and you didn't have to exchange not one candle. And you could still enjoy, speaking to each other through the emotes and things like that. And I know we were talking about that last month, and I was just like, that just speaks more towards like volumes of what TGC wants the game to be,
Absolutely. And on the more technical level, it kind of made it easier for people to hold your hand as well, because I still have problems with that. But it was just more the visual look was great as well. Just that you had this great big thing roaming around the game in various different places. I just thought that worked out really nicely. I like the stuff that they added, and we went sliding down the hill. It never worked out super well for me. Each time we did it, most times I fell off.
Did you ever catch the dragon and like actually rode down the hill?
I got up like halfway, I think was the furthest I ever got. Mm-hmm. Most of the time it would knock me off near the start. I don't know if that was a Switch bug or whether that was just what happened.
No,
but that was like a cool
I had the
thing
same experience as well too. I think it was very difficult to kind of hang on, and I think that's true because there was like funnies being made out of it. In it was funnies being made out of it in shorts and TikTok and stuff like that. So it's kind of really. It's really great. It's wild.
We can ride the dragon. We can ride the deer. See, the horses and everything else must be coming.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, we can ride a deer. We can ride some dragons. Let's bring some horses next. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's give me a realm where there's nothing but desert or something, and I can ride horses, and then put horses in the new season.
Horses, all the other things, and mantas. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But back to my fast travel idea.
Do mantas?
Comment, by the way, sorry.
Do mantas where it's just kind of like where you're. Do mantas that you can control, and imagine flying around in sky that way. That would be really cool.
So yeah, on the list of things that won't happen, all of that.
That would be really great. Days of Fortune was a really great success. I think that, the combination of like the event currency that they now have in the game and stuff like that, like I feel like it's less, I'm able to enjoy the game more, right? Without having to worry of let me log into every single day to get tickets and coins and things like that, because I think they found that sweet spot of, hey, you can either buy them or do the event, right? And if you do the event, the items they come at a cost that is easy to obtain, if that makes sense.
I think it was great for that reason, and relatively bug-free.
Yeah.
Which is always a benefit. Sometimes the first few days so that worked out really nice.
Yeah, I didn't see anything as far as any bugs or anything like that on that first day. You know, it was just kind of one of those things.
But definitely a lot going on in Sky now.
Yeah,
there's almost always an event or something.
Now, do you think that do you think it's too much? Do you miss the days where like you don't really have?
Honestly, I do a bit, but I can't answer this question because I see so many people who come into chat and say, "Oh, I haven't been in Sky for a bit because of the grind," and it's always the same, and I get a bit burnt out with that. And it's like, yeah, but now there's always an event going on. There's always something different that you haven't seen before. If you miss Sky for 2 weeks, there's something that you haven't seen before that you come in. And so I kind of think that must be a positive for the game. I think it's
both.
Add to the FOMO.
I think it's both. I think 100%. I think that it there's no way around it. It's just one of those things. You do if you don't. But I think that they've left the opportunity open, you know, for both kinds of players, right? That if you're feeling the burnout, you know, what have you. Yeah. Yes, if you need to take a break, take a break. I always advise that. You know, don't force yourself to like burn yourself out from a game, especially a game like Sky. If you need to take a break, take a break. Yeah. You know, like they'll always be here.
I used to like the bit between the seasons where you get 2 or 3 weeks where you could just play Sky old school and chill, and there was not lots of stuff going on. It was just a few candles.
Old school Sky.
Old school Sky.
Old school Sky, where all you got to do is just candle run and do, you know, your dailies candles, if you want.
Do the dailies. Go to Eden. None of this nonsense the kids want these days with dragons and hearts. Nature.
I don't want to ride a turtle every 2 minutes just so I get waxed. I just want a candle run. Give me a good old fashioned candle run any day.
Absolutely.
Rat's just like, give me the wax.
It was chill. It was a bit more chill, and you got extra candle each day. That's the benefit between the seasons.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I used to like that, but I just think, you know, so many people are saying, oh, you know, I don't know what's going on with Sky. It's like, there's now, like, whenever someone comes in and says, oh, I haven't played for a while, there's a sales pitch now that basically says, there's so much going on. There's so much you've missed. There's stuff going on today that you haven't seen. Come and find out what this is about. I think that's fantastic.
Now, I'm going to ask this question, and I know it wasn't something that we might have talked about before, so it's going to be the last question, and then we'll go ahead and, you know, do Q&A real quick, because I know you got to go.
10 minutes.
Yep. Okay. So, last question, and then we'll do Q&A, and then we'll wrap up here. We are having a push of shared spaces by TGC, whereas we're being asked to do, you know, more content surrounding that on there. How do you feel about shared spaces? Like, what do you think about them? Like, are you comfortable with them? And I just want to, you know, just get a general opinion of how you feel about them in game.
Very creative. Okay. And I still feel like when you create a shared space, you've got a very limited amount of whatever it's called, building energy that allows you to put things down. And I've got very few things that can go in those shared spaces. So you kind of go, oh, I'd love to create the Eiffel Tower. And you're like, oh, I haven't got anything. I'd like to create a house. Well, I've got something that's a bit like a tent. And I kind of find like at the moment, it's still quite limited. So I kind of still, I feel them pushing to say, you know, let's make my home in Sky. Let's make something that's very rad, very unique, very me. And it's like, but it's basically just a load of cushions that I've got to do that with.
The teaser that they gave for the year of like Sky's 5th year, did you read that article when they posted it at all?
I did read it.
They seem to indicate that there may or may not be some things happening to kind of put that wish in effect. Give me a house in Sky. How would you feel if they did that in game?
I want a house in Sky. I think that's something that a lot of people have talked about. To somehow have your own home space. I also heard somewhere about them thinking about some low poly objects that you could put in your shared space, so that you could have more things. So whether that would be like a cube or a circle or what have you, and that wouldn't take up much of the bar because it hasn't got any vertices, for want of a better way of saying it, and you could build up something that way. So again, I think like
that would be really cool.
some of these ideas would be really good. I need a house and a garden, a radish patch. All this stuff is absolutely...
Rad's like, I need a radish patch in game, please, thanks.
But yeah, I don't know, the shared spaces, can you build them collaboratively or something like that as well? It's kind of like from a stream perspective.
Can on stream, yeah. Like on stream you can. Like I did it the other day. I built one in Valley and I was like, it was a nice little kind of cozy spot. I went into the Coliseum and used one of the shard spaces. And I was like, okay, cool, great, awesome. But yeah, that's it. That's it. If you guys want to find out more, just check out streams as we go along, and we'll
build your own shared space.
Yeah, build your own shared spaces. Come check it out. Anyways, so this part of the segment, right before Rad has to go, is there any comments, questions, things like that that are from the chat that you would like to pick our brains about, or maybe you just kind of want to be like, hey, you know, when you were mentioning this, and maybe we can talk about it a little bit more. We've got time for maybe like one or two of them or so.
We didn't write Sky, but we feel like we could have done, so you know.
Right, like it's not like we're not gonna be able to answer any technical questions as to why Sky is not working, but you know,
why is the frame rate so bad?
Right, you know, that's fine too. Shared, well, Morgana's saying shared spaces are so limited. You create a cool one, then half the stuff doesn't, you know, show up. Oh yeah, I've heard that. You've heard that too, Rad, where it's just kind of like you create a good one and then you save it and then you go back into it and it doesn't have the same items.
I've heard that, but and also that you might create one, but your friends can't find it. So there doesn't seem to be much of a guarantee.
That is another problem.
Having done something great.
I do want to note that you can follow your friends. So if you do have a friend that is particularly into design, you can hit the little bell notification when the shared spaces and the memories come up, and the game will prioritize those spaces and make them giant for you, just so you know. I'm throwing it out there.
That for my wedding planner feature.
Yes, you can. Yeah. So Rad will be putting memories out into the game, and just make sure to hit that bell so it's that like button. If you hit the bell, the game will know, hey, I like spaces from this creator, even if you're not friends with them, by the way. Yeah. And they will go ahead and prioritize you seeing those. So you'll see those ones as bigger when you stumble across them. It's a little tiny feature that a lot of people don't really know about, actually. Yeah, and I don't think TGC really made a big hoopla about it either. Hit it on YouTube as well. Thanks. I appreciate. Yeah, hit that bell button if you want to get notifications for when other podcasts go out or any other content as well too. So. Do we have any other questions? There's not too much, I guess. We went over a lot today, didn't we?
we got into the detailed tech again.
We did, but that seems to be where our conversations go all the time, because
we need to do one that's just like an hour of, oh, it's just so beautiful. I think we need to focus on one like that next time.
Rad's like, I just want to talk about the good. I just want to talk about how pretty this game is all the time.
Just so pretty. Muse is saying I missed the dragon, so maybe we should have. This is what I wanted as well, like some kind of cape or something or something.
An object, something that you could buy, a spell
allows you to have the dragon.
It was a spell. It would be really cool if they add that next year, you know, have a spell that you can purchase with candles or event currency.
For that.
I feel like it would be great addition to the game. A nice spell. Sky's always about like, here, let me give you spells, let me do this, and it would be a very good spell. I feel like that.
Deer riding spell.
Yeah, deer riding spell as well. Yeah, of course. Rad, I've stolen you for a whole candle run.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you.
9 candles now.
Well, hey, I appreciate you for being here. Yes, you can afford the thing now, so it'll be great. I have to get up to 200 candles now. I'm at 123, and I just don't feel good about that. And if there's no other questions, you know, Rad, thank you for joining me. I know you got to go soon as well, as far as that goes.
Shall I do my thing? So I'm streaming at 7:30 p.m. UK time. GMT plus 0 today. So if you want to come and join me in 5.5 hours time, we're doing a little bit of Sky, but I'm also playing this game, My Time at Sandrock. It's a relatively new game.
Ooh.
It's kind of 3D Stardew Valley, and I'm having a love affair in game. It's
Rad. That's
craziness.
that. Wow. That's listen. Aren't you married? Rad's having a love affair in game.
The character.
Sure.
She her.
Sure.
Rad she her.
Sure.
Has fallen in love with a bad boy and can't get over it.
A bad boy.
It's as entertaining as you might think. So if you want to see a different game, then I'm just kind of shouting that out. I've also written a song about it because she fell in love with him so hard that she's written him a song. So I'm introducing that as well tonight as well. If you want to come to my stream, 7:30 p.m. UK time. I've no idea what that'll be.
I'll be lurking. I'll be lurking. No worries. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much for being here. Yeah, if you are ever wanting to check out the podcast, and hold on a second here, we'll wrap up. If you're ever wanting to check out the podcast or check out any of the socials, they'll be linked down below. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, so that way you know the next time that we post one of these. I really, really appreciate you for being in chat. If you do want to participate ever, make sure that you join either mine or Rad's Twitch, and let's hope, fingers crossed, for next month that we can get a troop member around this time. Time zones are difficult, so I don't. It's hard to manage, especially if you've got a full schedule as well too. So thank you for being here, and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Rad. Have a good one.